Hey guys, today I'm trying to understand this thing called a recession, and I can already feel my brain melting. This morning I was just walking through the market when suddenly the banker jumped onto a rock and screamed, "The recession is coming!" People dropped their baskets, someone tripped over a chicken, my wife kicked me out of bed and told me to sell our goats before the market exploded. Then a stranger handed me a scroll filled with numbers and whispered, "GDP is down 2/4, like he was sharing a dark prophecy. And that's when Caveman realized no one really knows what's happening, but everyone's panicking anyway. The fire priest warned me, if you don't understand this thing, you'll end up cold, broke, and alone in a mud pit, clutching expired meat and blaming the moon. So I figured it was time to learn. Before you get too comfortable on your mammoth skin couch, hit the like button and smash the magical subscribe stick, but only if something I say today makes you smile or think. And tell Caveman in the comments, what's your cave called and what moon cycle are you in? Now grab a stone seat, hold on to your beard, and let's walk into the firelight of today's hunt. Caveman wanted to know what this recession thing really meant, so I asked the village shaman. Big mistake. He started waving incense, drawing symbols in the dirt, and muttering things like GDP, macroeconomics, and negative growth over 2/4. Then he pointed to a jagged line on a scroll and whispered, "When the line goes down like this, the tribe suffers." Caveman stared at the line for 5 minutes. "You mean the line is the problem?" He said no. The line was just the signal. The actual problem is when people stop working, stop spending, stop trading, and the whole tribe gets stuck in a cold season. Still, Caveman didn't get it. So I tried to think in hunting terms. Imagine you wake up, go hunting, but nothing shows up. No mammoths, no rabbits, not even a squirrel with attitude. And it keeps happening. Every day. The tribe brings back less meat, the market slows, people stop trading because they're scared the others will stop too. That's a recession. It's like everyone in the village suddenly decides to hold their breath at the same time and forgets how to exhale. Caveman finally got it. Recession equals when the tribe gets scared, stops hunting, and the fire starts to die out, even when the sun is still shining. Once Caveman understood what a recession actually meant, I started noticing something even weirder. The moment someone whispered the word recession, the whole tribe lost its mind. Berry Lady started hoarding dried figs like the moon was falling. The banker buried his shiny rocks in the ground behind his hut. Even the TikTok dancer, normally doing backflips and lip-syncing to goat music, suddenly turned serious and started yelling, "Buy gold! Everything's collapsing!" Caveman thought maybe the word itself had power, like some kind of ancient curse. Just saying recession out loud was enough to summon panic. Then things got worse. My neighbor sold all his goats, not because he needed the money, just because you never know. He said, "The recession's coming. Better to have shiny rocks now than noisy goats later." Caveman figured, okay, if everyone's panicking, I should help. So I climbed the biggest rock in the village and shouted, "Everyone, the recession is here! Run for your caves!" That didn't go well. Old Widow Trula threw a turnip at my head. Then the fire priest pointed and said, "You brought this upon us." Next thing I knew, I was branded the Recession Prophet. Not a cool title. Came with no perks, just blame and bruised fruit. And that's when Caveman realized something painful. People aren't just afraid of recessions, they build them. The fear spreads faster than the problem itself. And by trying to avoid the storm, we end up setting the village on fire with our own panic. Caveman remembers the day clearly. No monster came, no fire fell from the sky, just people yelling until it became real. After that whole recession prophet debacle, Caveman decided to take matters into his own hands. If the dark season was coming, I figured I'd get ahead of it. Be smart, be prepared, be a legend. Step 1, I quit my job at the berry stall. Why trade berries, I said, if nobody's buying? I stormed out like a hero. Caveman was proud. Caveman was bold. Caveman was also very unemployed. Next move? I hid all my shiny rocks under the mammoth rug. Super safe, I thought. Except for one tiny oversight. We have mice, and apparently mice love shiny things. Then I launched a recession-proof business. It was going to be revolutionary. Gourmet, mud pies. Yes, real mud, with a decorative leaf on top for class. I shouted in the market, "Survive the collapse in style. Get your emergency carbs." No one bought any, except one confused child who licked it, cried, and vomited behind the firewood pile. He told the village chief. That was the end of Caveman's culinary empire. My wife was furious. "You quit your job, you hid our money where the mice live, you fed mud to a child." I tried to explain, "But recession." She stared at me and said, "No, you are the recession." Caveman will never forget that moment. Even the goats turned away. That's when it hit me. Sometimes the fear of falling makes you jump off the cliff first. I didn't survive the recession. I created one in my own cave. And that's how Caveman learned. Panic isn't preparation. It's just chaos with confidence. After the mud pie fiasco and the public shame, Caveman sat by the cold fire wondering what went wrong. That's when an old mountain hunter wandered over. He looked like bark that had learned to walk, scarred, silent, and smelling faintly of smoked squirrel. He dropped beside me, stared into the embers, and said, "You panic like a child seeing their first eclipse." Caveman nodded slowly. That felt accurate. The old man continued, "I lived through 3 great starvings. You know what kept me alive?" He grunted, "I never stopped hunting. Even when the mammoths vanished, even when the sky turned black and the berries rotted on the vine, he kept moving. He learned to fish, he trapped squirrels, he carved arrowheads and traded them for firewood. Everyone else froze, waited, starved, he said. But if even a few of us keep walking, the fire stays lit." That hit Caveman deep. The real danger in a recession isn't just the lack of trade. It's the tribe deciding to sit still and wait for the sun to come back. So the next day I went back to the berry stall. Sales were slower, sure, but some people still needed food. Some asked for jam. Caveman didn't know how to make jam, but I learned. The hunt doesn't always disappear. Sometimes it just changes shape. Caveman remembers this. Even when the trail goes cold, movement is survival. Because the moment you stop walking, the dark catches up. A few moons later, Caveman ran into Rongo, the smug trader from the northern tribe. Rongo had shiny fur boots, a roasted leg of something probably extinct, and that slow-chewing confidence of someone who definitely wasn't eating mud pies last week. Caveman asked, "How are you still living like it's feast season while the rest of us are chewing roots?" Rongo smirked. Then he took me to a hidden storage hut behind his cave. Inside, rows of dried fish, stacks of firewood, a backup goat, even socks. Caveman blinked. "You hoard treasure?" Rongo shook his head. "Not hoard, I save." He explained that every good season, he puts a little aside. While we were throwing dance feasts and investing in decorative spear handles, Rongo was building his storm shelter. "When meat is plenty," he said, "act like meat is rare." Caveman remembered how, just a few moons ago, I was buying bone flutes, hosting lizard stew parties, and treating shiny rocks like leaves in the wind. Now, Caveman had no stew, no flutes, no rocks. That hurt. But it also taught me something important. So I started small. Every berry I traded, I put one shiny rock into a pouch behind the fire pit. My wife noticed. She didn't say much, just gave me that rare smile that says, "Okay, you're no longer the dumbest man in the tribe." The pouch grew, not fast, but steady, and that tiny stash made Caveman feel something he hadn't felt since the chaos began. Calm. Cavemen learned, a recession is survivable if you treat the good times like preparation, not permission. You can't stop the storm, but you can build a better roof before it hits. Even after cavemen started saving, selling jam, and finding some peace, there was still one enemy I hadn't defeated: the screaming owls. Not real owls, worse. I'm talking about the magical glowing boxes, the smoke scrolls, the whispering tablets, the things people stare at all day while their brains catch fire. Every morning, I'd hear them yelling from every corner of the village, "Markets are collapsing. Sell everything. Buy pickles. The end is near. Follow me for more tips." Caveman was hooked. I couldn't stop listening. I thought if I missed a single shout, I'd be the last to know when the world collapsed. So I started hoarding again. I buried more coins. I panicked over jam sales. I questioned my goat's commitment to long-term economic sustainability. My wife noticed. She put her hand on my shoulder and said, "You're not reacting to what's real. You're reacting to noise." That stopped me. Caveman looked around. The fire still burned. The jam still sold. My tribe still laughed. And none of the screaming owls ever knocked on my door to check if I was okay. So the next day, I did the unthinkable. I smashed the magic box. It made a satisfying crack. And you know what? The world didn't end. Caveman realized, the danger isn't just the recession. It's the echo chamber of fear. The more you listen to the noise, the less you trust your own eyes. Sometimes the smartest move is to turn down the volume and pay attention to your own fire. After the panic, the mud pies, the goat drama, the jam hustle, and the destruction of one very loud magic box, Caveman finally sat by the fire and thought. What did all of this mean? What had the cold season actually taught me? Caveman realized something strange. The recession wasn't some giant monster hiding in the trees. It was a shadow. A slow freeze. A mood that spread through the tribe like smoke, easy to inhale, hard to see. But it had also been a teacher. Caveman learned how to save, how to keep moving when the hunt disappeared, how to tune out the noise and trust the fire in front of me. And then something happened that brought it all home. My youngest, tiny, clumsy, obsessed with goat fur, started weaving socks. He didn't complain, he didn't panic, he just saw a need and filled it. Before long, everyone in the village wanted his socks. The fire priest, the berry lady, even Rongo, the smug northern guy, offered him 5 shiny rocks for a pair. Caveman watched as my child, during the worst season we'd seen in years, found new trade. Built value, provided warmth. And that's when it hit me. Sometimes cold seasons grow the strongest hunters. Not because they're easy, but because they force change, because they make you adapt, rethink, and rise up. Caveman remembers the fat seasons, but Caveman respects the lean ones more. They're the ones that sharpen your spear. Looking back, Caveman sees the whole messy journey clearly now. The screaming, the hoarding, the jam, the mud pies, the smashed glowing box. The kid and his goat fur sock empire. And Caveman understands something simple and true. A recession is not the end of the tribe. It's just a test. A cold season, a chance to prove who can keep hunting, who can build fire in the wind, who can turn fear into action. Caveman still believes in preparation. Yes, save your shiny rocks. Yes, cut back on bone flute parties. Yes, learn how to trap a squirrel or start a jam hustle if you must. But Caveman also learned that panic is a terrible strategy. You can't plan clearly if you're screaming with the owls. Caveman saw his young one rise. While the world froze, my kid thrived. Because he stayed calm, stayed focused, and found something useful to offer the tribe. So should you worry about a recession? A little, enough to sharpen your spear, but not so much that you stab yourself in the foot with it. If this story made you laugh, think, or smash a metaphorical glowing owl box, smash the big red subscribe stick. Go on. It's shiny, it's satisfying, it's free. And tell Caveman in the comments, me built fire during cold moon. That way Caveman knows you're still out there, moving forward, building, thinking, surviving. Until next hunt, stay warm, stay weird, and never ever feed the screaming owls after sunset. Ooga booga.